Okay, guys, it's time for another one of these terrible art pieces. Because apparently, I enjoy suffering. Let's do a Pop Mart inspired character this time. Because tiny, cute characters are definitely easier to mess up. I start by wrapping my aluminum foil sphere with a thin sheet of clay, basically giving it a very fancy clay outfit. Then I bulk up the top area to add more mass and smooth it out until it starts looking like something that doesn't look like an accident, which is always the goal here. I add some clay to the bottom part to establish the cheek area. I simply slap on some clay and blend it in. I also need to bulk up his forehead because apparently brains need space too. After all that, this is what we have. If you're following along, then good. If it fails, I can share the embarrassment. Now I'll add his tiny happy eyes. I'm feeling too lazy to sculpt proper eyeballs, so we'll just give him simple happy lines. Lazy art for the win. My plan is to have him wear an octopus hat, so it's time to add those slimy tentacles. Because nothing says fashion like squishy tentacles on your head. I just add some evenly sized, slightly pointy pieces of clay, basically little clay spikes. Next, I'll just draw the octopus eyes. I think it'd be hilarious if he looks upset. Like, really? This tiny rascal made me his hat? Those little eyes are all the attitude he needs. Part grumpy, part please help me, and 100% done with life. Honestly, the hat might be too cute to resist, even if he isn't happy about it. To really sell the expression, I'll add those crumpled forehead lines. Because nothing says, I'm not happy about this, like a dramatic forehead. And of course, don't forget that cute little octopus snout. And now, we painstakingly add each one of those suckers. Yes, every single tiny squishy little suction cup, because who doesn't love a bit of tedious detail? The octopus head is looking a bit boring, so I'll add the headset, ready to drop some of those sick Jay-Z beats. Now it's time to do the body. I plan to have him wearing those chunky knitted sweaters. Just like the head, I start by defining the main shape with aluminum foil, then wrap it with an initial layer of clay. Of course we need arms. I bulked them at the bottom so his sweater looks oversized. Pants are short and simple, just a square with a middle line. Minimal effort, maximum style. When you're sculpting something from real life, like a sweater, don't stress about every single stitch. You're not knitting a tiny sweater for a mouse. Unless you are, then cool. Just capture the main vibe, the chunky shape, the oversized sleeves, the squishy cozy look. Simplify where you can, exaggerate where it's funny, and as long as people can tell it's a sweater, you're winning. Like I said, let's exaggerate. We'll slap on some over-the-top patterns made from thin sheets of clay because subtle is boring and dramatic is way more fun. First up, the crisscross pattern, because who doesn't love a little chaotic geometry on their sweater? Next is this broken like pattern. Sculpting can feel like a test of patience. You smooth, tweak, add more clay, smooth again. It's a never-ending cycle. And just when you think you're done with the sleeve, you notice another tiny detail you forgot. But here's the thing. All that tedious work pays off. That tiny over-the-top sweater suddenly looks cozy, stylish, and full of character. It's proof that even small repetitive steps can make a huge difference. And honestly, despite all the tedium, seeing it come together, totally worth it. Look at that sweater, fun, stylish, and just the right amount of chaos. I brush some lighter fluid over the whole sweater to smooth it out. Think of it as a tiny spa treatment that also says goodbye to some imperfections. Now I'll show you how I sculpt the foot. First, I make a small bendy piece, then I press it against the table, and I end up with this shape. I'm planning to give him those trendy cloud puff slippers, because even tiny clay characters deserve to lounge in style. When I sculpt objects, I like to imagine how they're made in the real world. I don't jump straight to the details. I start simple. Take this slipper for example. You've got the sole first, then the strap, and only then the fluffy fur. If you try to add the fur first, congratulations, you've made a weird cloud. Trust the process. Following that order just makes everything easier and keeps the sculpt looking believable. I think it'd be cool if his slippers had ears, so let's add some furry bear ears, because regular slippers just weren't cute enough. Alright, assembly time. The point of the video where everything either comes together beautifully or exposes all my bad decisions at once. This is also where I realize I probably should have measured something. Did I? Of course not. We're just trusting vibes at this point. Every time I assemble a character like this, I pretend it was planned. It wasn't. But if you don't know that, then I've done my job. And there we go, fully assembled, slightly crooked, extremely cozy, and somehow it works. I noticed this area felt a little empty, so we'll add a neck pillow, because this guy is clearly dressed for maximum comfort, not productivity. Alright, painting time, the moment where everything suddenly looks better and I forget all the mistakes I made earlier. This is basically magic. A little color here, a little shading there, and suddenly it looks like I knew what I was doing the whole time. Painting is just confidence in liquid form. If this goes wrong, we'll just call it stylized. Yeah, I know a pink octopus is a little weird, but come on, we're going for vibrant, fun, and slightly ridiculous. Who said octopuses can't be fabulous? On choosing colors. This is where I either look like a genius or a chaotic mess, and honestly, it's usually a bit of both. I like to go for vibrant, fun colors that really make the character pop. Nothing too boring, because why would we settle for boring? I also try to balance it so it doesn't look like a rainbow exploded. Well, at least not too much. Pink, purple, maybe a tiny splash of yellow. Basically, whatever makes me smile and hopefully makes you smile too. Choosing colors is half instinct, half luck, and all about making this little guy feel alive. When it comes to character design, inspiration is everywhere, and sometimes nowhere. I get ideas from toys, cartoons, animals, or even just my coffee cup staring at me suspiciously. The trick is to take something familiar and twist it, maybe exaggerate features, mix unexpected colors, or add a tiny hat for no reason. Don't worry about making it perfect. The best characters usually come from a mix of observation, imagination, and a little bit of chaos. If it looks weird, good, that's personality. The goal isn't realism, it's something memorable, something that makes people smile, or at least squint and say, "What even is that?" No mouth yet, and that's on purpose. This guy's about to be blowing bubble gum, and I'll use this material to sell the illusion. This is UV resin, normally for nails, now officially part of this character's lifestyle. Just roll it into a ball, add some pastel color, and suddenly it's a bubble gum. With this process, we can add color while still keeping it transparent. This kind of resin cures once you expose it to UV light, so let's light it up while rolling it into a ball, basically freeze it in its final, perfect gum bubble form. And just like that, we're done. No explosions, no regrets. Let me show you the final shots. And that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this build, drop a like, maybe subscribe, and I'll see you in the next sculpting adventure.